Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Strategy, Leadership, and Impact. Hope you've been well since the last episode. Things have been really well on my side. The audiobook for The Leadership Path, my second book that I published, will be out probably in a few weeks, actually. It's all the recordings done. I think I mentioned that in the last episode, but also it's almost through all the editing steps that it has to go through. So very exciting. Again, that was a great process. Worked with Production Farm over in Hobart here in Tasmania. They're a really great studio to work with, and I can't wait to work on my next book or my previous book that I published, Soldier to Executive, and actually working on that audiobook project and getting that out and getting that released, which will happen probably toward the end of this year. Also, some other great news. My son James and I, several years ago, back in around 2019, we started a podcast called The James and Dad Show. And we did it for a while. At the time, he was about 7 to 8 years old whenever we did it. We only did about half a dozen or so episodes, but now he's 12 going on 13. He wants to get started back in the podcast space again and doing our podcast again. So the James and Dad podcast will be coming back. I'm very excited about that. We've updated our branding, kind of been building a little studio here at the house to get ready for it, because it's also going to be a video podcast as well, vlog, whatever you want to call it. And we're both very excited about it. And that one's going to be just more focused on our kind of activities that we do and the hobbies that we enjoy and all the other things that we're involved in. So we'll just talk about random stuff, but it should be quite fun and entertaining. So once that's out, I'll let you know, and definitely check it out and let me know what you think. Anyway, to get on to the subject of this week's episode, I want to talk about leading by example. I actually just mentioned it about 2 episodes ago in episode, I believe it's 41 or maybe 42, where I said something about, lead by example. And somebody asked me, they said, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean, always being out there, being out in front? What exactly does leading by example mean? So just simply put, leading by example, it's an effective way to inspire and motivate others to follow your lead and basically to act however it is you're acting and to emulate your behaviors and things like that. But when you lead by example, you set a positive and influential precedence for those around you. And I want to share 10 steps that I've come up with, or 10 things that you can think about that can help you to lead by example and really define what leading by example is. So number 1, define your values. Clarify your values and the principles that guide your actions. You need to identify the qualities and behaviors of what you want to exemplify as a leader. So really think about what values you hold dear and how you can actually display them so that other people can see them. Number 2, be authentic. Authenticity is absolutely crucial when leading by example. You need to stay true to yourself and your values, and people are more likely to trust and respect a leader who's genuine and consistent. Again, if you tell them to do one thing, but you're doing something else, that's not leading by example. You need to be authentic, you need to be genuine, and people need to see that every day. And then number 3, demonstrate integrity. I think I mentioned in episode 42 that there's going to be times in your career, no matter what career you're in or what industry you're in, when you're going to have to demonstrate integrity. So act honestly, fairly, and ethically in all your interactions. Uphold high standards of integrity and be transparent in your decision-making process. Again, if you ever compromise your integrity, once you do it, you're going to lose trust. So don't compromise your integrity. Number 4, exhibit professionalism. Maintain a professional demeanour and approach to work. Be punctual, be reliable, be organized, be on time. Take your responsibilities serious and demonstrate dedication to your role. And show professionalism all times. There's times when everybody has bad days. Everybody has things that aggravate them or upset them or make them angry. But don't forget that whenever we feel this way, we choose those emotions. So actually reflect on that and say, what is it that made me feel that way? And then try not to actually let that control. Try not to let those emotions control your actions. So always maintain that professionalism. Number 5, show empathy and respect. Treat others with compassion and respect at all times. Listen actively to their perspectives. And we talked about active listening in episode 42 or 43, excuse me. Value their contributions and show genuine care for their well-being. Don't just show token care for people's well-being. You want to create that supportive and inclusive environment. And remember, diversity, no matter how diverse your organization, that doesn't mean it's inclusive. You need to make sure it's diverse and inclusive, but also make sure everybody that's there feels like they're supportive, and that means yourself too. Number 6, take initiative, and this is probably where the biggest part that leading from the front or leading by example comes from. Proactively take on tasks and responsibilities without being asked. You expect the people who work under you to do that, so you need to do that yourself. Show initiative, be self-motivated, and demonstrate a strong work ethic. Your willingness to take the lead, it really can inspire others to do the same. And that's why you have to do that all the time. There's going to be days when you get up and you don't feel like going to work, or you show up at work because you had to and you don't feel like doing much. But you still need to show up. You still need to get things done. We actually have talked about this several times. Anything that comes across your desk, anything that you come upon, it's your responsibility to address, whether that's directly or passing on to the right person to get things done. Take that initiative. By taking that initiative, I'll guarantee you'll be so much more successful than a lot of other people. Number 7, communicate effectively. Practice clear and open communications. And remember, communications is a circular process. Share information, share your goals, your expectations openly with your team so they never know or they never don't know what's going on or what's going to happen or where you're going. But also be a good listener. Offer constructive feedback and encourage the open dialogue. You need to allow people to talk more than you do. You need to listen to their challenges. You need to listen to their own aspirations so you can support them as best as possible and remove those barriers that are in their way or actually help them achieve. Number 8, embrace accountability. And I've mentioned this several times that people do not like being held accountable, but you need to hold yourself accountable for your actions and your decisions. And take that one step further, you need to allow those that, particularly those that report directly to you, to hold you accountable whenever you say you're going to do things. Don't be afraid to admit and learn from your mistakes and take ownership of the outcomes. It's all part of that taking accountability because it's your responsibility to. And when others see you taking responsibility or holding yourself accountable, they're more likely to do the same. And when they know it's okay for them to hold you accountable, more than likely they're going to be more receptive to you holding them accountable as well. Even though you well within your rights to do it based on your role, there still needs to be an acceptance there from that person for it to actually be true accountability. Number 9, continuously learn and grow. You need to cultivate that growth mindset. And I talk about this really till I'm blue in the face and commit to that lifelong learning. Just like my last book, The Leadership Path. It's a path you're on your entire career, your whole life. There's really no end goal. There's just this journey that you're on. You need to stay updated on industry trends. Has things changed so quickly in the globalized economy? You need to seek those opportunities for self-improvement. And you need to encourage others to develop their skills and knowledge too. I actually have done some work with an organization where seeking self-improvement was seen as a weakness or seen as a bad thing, or being sent away from training was seen as a punishment. And that is completely the opposite of the way self-improvement and training and development should be looked at. It should be looked at a positive thing, and it should be looked at as something that we do all the time. Because as we're investing back in ourselves and making ourselves just that little bit better, we're making the organization better too. And then number 10, inspire and motivate. You need to stay positive, you need to stay enthusiastic and motivated to inspire others. That sometimes can be very difficult, but you need to do it. Celebrate achievements, recognize your team's efforts, provide encouragement when challenges arise. Whenever you start being negative and down in the dumps and really just have that negative outlook on life, it's contagious and your team will start feeling that way too. But if you can stay positive, look at the positives, really see where we're going, and even though we might be in a bad place right now, there's something good on the other side of that, and help your team to be able to see that. I'll guarantee your team is going to go a lot further than they otherwise could be or could be able to. Just remember that leading by example is not a one-time thing. This is an ongoing process. You have to consistently demonstrate the qualities and behaviors that you wish to see in the others over time. Your actions will positively impact those around you, but you have to be consistent. And I don't know how many times I mentioned this around consistency is probably the number one thing that will lead to your success, being self-disciplined and actually getting things done. So being self-disciplined in these 10 things that I've talked about and doing them day after day, time after time, year after year, throughout your entire career, you'll be so much more successful than someone who isn't. I've used these analogies before. It's not the smartest person that gets the university degree. It's the person that was most disciplined throughout their time at university and did their assignments and did each course and passed. It's not the most talented athlete necessarily that represents us in the Olympics or achieves to strive to the highest level of playing. Yes, there is a bit of natural talent there, but by far the vast majority of time, that talent has been developed over years and years and years of practice and actually getting out there and doing the things that they needed to do to achieve whatever it is they wanted to achieve. So again, it's the most disciplined, the most consistent that's going to achieve. Anyway, I hope you've gotten a little bit of something out of this. If you have, let me know. If you want to connect with me, please feel free to look me up on LinkedIn, Blake Repine. I'm on there. I believe I'm the only one, so you should be able to find me pretty easy. Send me an email, blakerepine@gmail.com. I know Spotify has a new thing on their platform where I can actually ask questions, and I'm going to start doing that to interact with the audience on Spotify. But Spotify is only about 15 to 20% of my audience. By far, the vast majority of my audience is on Apple Podcasts. So that's about 70% or so of my audience is on there. And of course, it doesn't have that ability to be able to do that. So you're probably just listening to it, but you can still interact with me in those other ways. Again, send me a message on LinkedIn or send me an email. More than happy to discuss things with you or do a podcast on a topic that you'd like to hear about. Anyway, I hope things go well for you between now and the next episode, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.